What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay here to talk some Green Bay Packers. We're going to do a little draft talk. We're going to hit on some free agents that are on a short list of players that I think might be a good pickup. We're going to kind of dive into it together and see what you guys and gals think here in the chat. Appreciate everybody following in. If you would hit that like button on the way in, feel free to sub to the channel. If this is your first time in here, tell us it's your first time. We welcome all the first time viewers so they can end the show with saying this show sucks. You'll never see me again. That's how we roll. So Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was a first time viewer at one point,
and you said
never got rid of me ever since. I've been here ever since.
Tim said this show sucks, but I mean, they'll let me hang around. I'll hang around,
They haven't asked me to leave yet, so I'm going to stick around for sure. Shout out to our other co-host tonight too, stuck at the office, right? You got Jacob stuck at work, you got Emilio stuck at work, battling an ice storm, having fun.
If there's a dollar bill shortage in the Wisconsin area, just know it's because Jacob's been working overtime. All right, that's all. I'll just leave it at that. Mountain Man Pack in the house said it's hard to pick either of these two for center when we don't have a replacement for either. Great point, Mountain Man Pack. And of course, he is talking about the poll question that Tim, thank God, reminded me of. I had already forgot. And that poll question is, which would you rather move to the center position, Zach Tom or Elgton Jenkins? All right, everybody get your vote in here on YouTube. We also put it up on Twitter, so I'll try to keep an eye on that as we move forward as well. Tim, who would your pick be, man?
I was just looking at my phone. I was going to vote right now on the poll.
Go ahead, vote, and tell me what your vote is.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and vote for Elgton Jenkins, I think.
All right.
I'm going to go ahead and go Big E.
You'd rather keep Zach Tom at right tackle, kick Elgton to center, and then try to obviously replace Elgton at guard.
I think so, because I feel like maybe we have that guy. Maybe it's as simple as switching Sean Ryan over and having Sean Ryan try left guard, or it's Jordan Morgan. I don't know. I like Zach Tom where he is right now. I know he'd be a stud center for sure, but I think Elton's the dude for the job if you had to ask me to pick one of those two.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at too. As excited as I would be to see how Zach Tom could dominate the center position, I think he would be right up there with Creed Humphrey. I really do. For me personally, I think the tackle is that important, even on the front side of a right-handed quarterback, which we have in Jordan Love. So yeah, I think my pick out of those two would be Elgton to center, and continue this process with Jordan Morgan playing guard, and obviously Sean Ryan playing guard. And here's the thing too, guys, like we obviously got a whole draft coming up. So there's a chance that you draft someone that just dominates the guard position and takes over one of those starting spots as well. And that kind of fixes your depth issue that we've seen obviously resurface there against the Eagles in the playoffs. So I don't know, that's kind of how I see it. But if someone says, hey, Zach Tom to center and put Jordan Morgan at right tackle, I can understand that stance too, man. There's a lot of I think there's a lot of high hopes for Jordan Morgan. Obviously, he was beating Sean Ryan out for that right guard spot. They were basically forcing him to rotate, and I think that Steno talked about it. Coach Stenovich talked about it multiple times throughout the year. Yeah, we feel like we got two starters there at right guard, is the way he felt. So now, whether you disagree with that, that's cool. We can, that's totally understandable there too. But yeah, for me, it would be Elgton at center. And I understand what you're saying, Tim, like kicking Sean Ryan to left guard. That way Jordan Morgan don't have to learn another guard position, and really it's been kind of good on the job training, I think, too, because Jordan Morgan has played left tackle his entire career, right, through high school and college. And then, of course, them throwing him to right guard, maybe that's a way to ease him into learning how to play the right side where he's only played the left. And who knows, man, that could have been a precursor of let's get him familiar with the right side and playing that opposite balance, that opposite kick step there.
Yep.
To maybe ease him into the right tackle spot so Zach Tom could kick the center if Rob Demovsky's correct on the center of the future's in-house, and he kind of alluded to it possibly being Zach Tom. But go ahead, man.
Yeah, I would agree, because on the surface you figure like Zach Tom's probably the best dude, right? Like if you're talking pound for pound, I would probably give him a slight edge over Elgton at the center position. But I think we've had such a good thing with him at the right tackle position. I don't want to jinx it. He's played nearly flawless football. these past 2 seasons at the right tackle spot. And I'd hate to move him off of that if we can move some other pieces around.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Jason Y in the chat said it just confirms we're drafting O-line in the first round. I don't know if it confirms it, Jason, but man, it we updated ours and we now have 4 offensive linemen that the Packers have met with, at least what we've got on the books right now, in terms of what Easton Butler has done a great job compiling and reporting on which players the Packers have met with. So far, you got 7 defensive linemen, 6 cornerbacks, 4 edges, 4 wide receivers, 4 offensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 1 tight end, 1 slot, which is truly a safety, but he had a lot of slot reps. I think more slot than safety reps, and then 1 kicker. So O-line is kind of tied for 3rd right now, but that could change as we get into the top 30 visits and all that as well. So I think Drew makes a great point right here, Tim. He says you just can't move a right tackle to center because you're willing to pay center top offensive tackle money, ? Here's the thing about that. When Elton got his deal, Elton's deal was actually pretty team-friendly, to be honest with you. And I felt like it was somewhat team-friendly because they were telling him, you're going to be playing guard, you're going to be playing guard. Now, when they initially did the contract, I personally felt like they might be BS him and he's going to end up being the left tackle. And if we hadn't found Rasheed Walker, that may have been the case. They may have just thrown Elton Jenkins out of left tackle, right? But with that being said, if you're going to pay Zach Tom, starter money, you would rather pay him center money than tackle money. But make no mistakes about it. His representation, his agent, is going to be looking for top tackle money because that's what he's played. So there probably is a little bit of that going on too. You know what I mean?
I'm sure that's the vibe coming out of his camp, and he deserves to feel that way, right? Hey, I'll play center, but you're going to pay me like a top-tier tackle, right. At the end of the day. I'll play wherever you need me to play, but the contract's going to be the contract. And we've talked about that for the last few months, right? Zach Tom's got to get the money, man. Get the Brinks truck ready, man. Load it up, make sure there's air in those bulletproof tires, and pull it up to the crib and drop the money off. And then I think once you do that, wherever the hell they want him to play, he's going to have no problem doing it.
Right. Definitely. Johnny B in the chat says, as Elton gets older, is center easier to play versus guard, or is it the other way around? I've always felt like it was easier to play center than guard when it comes to, just having to be physical, right? And the reason I say that is when you do face a true dominant player in the middle and they're in a one tech, you typically got guard help.
Right.
And with guard, sometimes
help.
Exactly. And on top of that, if they line up a 5-man jam, guess what you got to be prepared to do? You got to be prepared to absorb a big 3 tech smacking you in the mouth. You've also got to have a quick enough kick step to get outside if they try to take your outside shoulder. And you've got to have a good enough awareness and quick enough feet to slide back inside if they run an ET stun on you. Yep. So and with the center, it's more snap the effing ball, Josh, right? It's handling the snap and then helping along the way. Now, there's going to be times that they load a bear front or something like that where the center is going to have to take care of a hog molly up front. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I feel like center would be easier to play as you get older. And also, you want your center to be the smartest lineman.
I was just going to say, it probably favors the aging player better, too, because of the experience factor. Being able to change a protection or, call out a mic, those kind of things. I definitely think you get better as you get older, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And let's see here, Daryl in the chat. What if Nolan gets selected by another team still aiming for CJ West in need of a defensive lineman? We're actually going to talk a little bit about CJ West here in a second. Matter of fact, we'll just hit it right now. I won't put it on the screen. But Justin M at Justin M _NFL over on X said Indiana football defensive tackle CJ West is among my favorite 2025 NFL draft prospects. At CJ West 50 was downright dominant at the Shrine Bowl, and it talks about he met with 30 teams so far that's shown interest. The Packers are one of those. The Lions are one of those. So I think if anything, what's going to happen here with CJ West, Daryl, is his stock's going to continue to rise as more teams get into that sweepstakes. So we'll see where he ends up, obviously, but glad you brought that up because it was kind of already in the notes to talk about that a little bit. Right here, Ron Sample says top tackle money is probably close to double top center money. Every bit of it, I mean, I'm not sure what Creed's getting paid, and I think he was the latest one to get the contract extension. There was rumors of a player. I'm trying to think. The Eagles center is set to get a contract, and they're projecting in at like 11 million per. Now he's not considered, a top 3 center in the game, at least according to PFF. He graded out in the upper 60s, which is pretty solid for a center, comparatively speaking across the league. But at 11 million, I would say your top center probably getting 15 to 16 million, something like that, I imagine, on average annual value. It doesn't mean it's the cap hit this year, but if you average it out over the course of the entirety of the contract, that's probably what you'd have. So let's see, your dead fish. Packers have 1 more year, and Tom, Ryan, and Walker are all free agents. How many are the Packers going to pay, and how many are they going to have to let go? In my opinion, if it were me, I would model the roster to pay Zach Tom top money. He's earned it. He deserves it. And I would pay Rasheed Walker somewhere between 12 to 17 million per, in that range. Now, if he wants to try to break the bank and go 22, 23 million per, that's going to get a little tough.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And I don't even know. I mean, you could probably trade him, but if his contract is run out, it might be something you have to slap a franchise tag on him and then try to deal him, and he can work out a deal with someone else. But yeah, I like Rasheed Walker. I think he's done a damn good job. I mean, he is far exceeded the expectations of a 7th-round pick, obviously. But I'm just not ready to crack the 20 million mark, and that's what the going rate is. So when I say modeling the roster, what I'm talking about is I see us paying 2 offensive linemen top money, okay? When I say top money, I mean, paying on what they're worth, not lowballing, right? So what you've got right now is you've got Elton Jenkins getting paid, and that's it pretty much, right? So if Zach Tom's due up, then you're going to have Zach Tom and Elton. Well, here's what's cool. Elton's on the backside of that contract. You can start to shave off cap by guaranteeing more money and lowering the cap number there. So you've got room to sign Rasheed Walker. But again, is Rasheed Walker great or is he good? That's the question. The problem there, Tim, is Rasheed Walker, I think, is right in between good and great, So if there's a position you're going to overpay for someone who's on the verge of being great as opposed to just be good, it's definitely left tackle. But I don't know if I'm quite there yet to pay like top left tackle money.
I feel a lot better answering this question after the 2025 season.
Mm-hmm.
Probably get a better barometer. We might feel a hell of a lot different about Rasheed Walker. We may be saying pay that man his money.
Or we might be going,
we might be going by Felicia. We never know. One thing is not debatable is Zach Tom gets the money for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Ryan's interesting because I feel like he's steadily improved these past couple of seasons, and his versatility, being able to play multiple positions, also helps him out too. So I don't think you lowball him. I think he may end up testing the market, but I think, meet somewhere in the middle with a guy like that. Maybe you keep him around a little longer and see, but I don't know if Sean Ryan's the guy that you're, building your O-line around or anything. I would think, that's Zach Tom and Rasheed probably.
Yeah. I'm going to look here real quick and sort by pressures, and let's go trying to see how many snaps our boy Sheed actually had this year real quick. I want to compare and contrast the pressures allowed because I felt like he had a really good pass blocking year. Where are you at, Rasheed Walker? Here we go. So he's the 45th highest graded tackle. So that includes left tackles and right tackles, obviously. His pass blocking grade it was great, right? His pass blocking grade, I've already lost him now. Where are you at there, Sheed? I know I just had you. Bang. Pass blocking grade 80.1, but his run blocking grade 53.5. But again, I think there's a little bit of confusion there at PFF on how they grade the run blockers. That's just me, because every single year we have a running back that's toward the top of the list, and somehow, some way, we're one of the worst run blocking units on offensive line according to PFF, but our running backs are just running crazy, But when we sort by pressures and hurries and pressures here, Rasheed Walker, according to PFF, gave up 37 pressures in pass blocking. So to put that into perspective here, that means Rasheed Walker gave up the 20th most pressures allowed. Okay, so again, where do you want to put that? Like if you remove the minimum snaps here, let's go 20% of the snaps and let's go pressures allowed here, right? And again, when you go by snaps, it gets a little bit tough to compare and contrast. Let me see here real quick. Let me finagle this just a touch. Like Zach Tom gave up 28 pressures according to PFF is what they're saying. All right. And again, Sheed significantly worse than that at 37. He had 1,100 total snaps, okay? So if we were to say, let's just take it to 50% of the 1,265 snaps to get a realistic gauge on, all right, these were the starters, and we'll sort it by least pressures to highest. And let's see where Sheed ended up here. Zach Tom finishes 26th with the 28 pressures. And it looks like our boy Rasheed Walker will finish 40th. That's well within starter range. But again, nowhere near top tackle, top money should be paid there, in my opinion. If you just go strictly off of pressures, right? Because again, we gotta look at everything in that regard. Let's see here what else we got. Chris in the house. Sheed has done everything they've asked him from day one. He has. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
But is he a top 5 tackle? That's what you got to ask yourself. Is he a top 5 left tackle? Yes or no? And I don't think I'm there. I think he's a starting quality tackle. I really do. That's where you get in that ballpark of you could potentially be overpaying for him. You know,
that's the tough spot with him because he's, it was sink or swim for him from the get go, and he's definitely chose to swim, right? And I think he's played a lot better than a lot of us expected. We thought him moving into that spot, after the Bakhtiari debacle, we thought maybe that was a patch or a quick fix. And maybe it is. Maybe, after this season, it is time to move on. We don't know. But there's also a chance he could really take another step and be even better and really solidify himself over there. And, it's tough. You don't want to overpay for good, like you always say. But you don't want to underpay and insult or let a guy walk and then he goes somewhere else and becomes a stud and a monster. We've seen it time and time again. It happens not just to the Packers, but any team in the NFL. A guy goes, you got away 1 year too soon, and the guy's a stud and finishes his career somewhere else, and he's an all-pro or whatever. So I think you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place with Rasheed, and unfortunately, I'd like to see one more year of football before I decide anything,
Yeah, I get it, man. And this comment here, I think I may have unmarked it actually. Someone was saying, what was he gets better every year. That was the comment. Whoever said that, I apologize. It's not on there now. Thought I had marked it and I did not. Anyway, that was the comment. I want to give credit for whoever it was. But yeah, there we go. Chuck in the chat says Walker gets better every year. All right. So when you look at the grades too, he has gotten better. But again, perspective, right? 2022, he had no grade because he didn't play any snaps, right? Or he played very, very minimal snaps, I would imagine, if he played any at all. I don't think he played any at all. 2023, he was a 66.3. He was the 44th highest graded tackle. In 2024, he jumped to 68.6, so he improved by 2.3 points. And again, this is just PFF. Pass blocking grade, he was 18th out of 80 tackles. That's solid. That you're getting up in that range, Tim, where it's like, okay, that dude deserves a checkbook, right? But then the run blocking grade, 62nd out of 72 at a 53.5. That's where it gets a little shaky.
Yeah.
But yeah, he has gotten better both years that he's played. There's no doubt about it.
Yep. That's what I say. It's like, it's tough to, you don't want to get away too soon, right? You never know.
Right. And Holmes MD1, not sure we can afford to pay a top 5 tackle. We can afford it. There's no doubt about it. You just, in my opinion, you can't afford to pay 3 top offensive lineman money. Zach Tom, that's top priority. Paid that man his monies, right? That's the way that needs to be. Rasheed Walker, we want a fair deal for both parties, right? Elton Jenkins, on the backside of the contract, you can do some maneuver in there with some restructuring and free up cap space there to help bridge that gap, maybe the Sheed. And who knows, man? Jordan Morgan might emerge this year healthy and be absolutely freaking dominant to the point where they say, you know what? Let's kick him over to left tackle next year and let Rasheed walk. That could happen too. So he's definitely got some experience at left tackle. We'll see though, man. I like Rashid. I hope he makes it back for sure. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that, Holmes. I think we can afford to pay a top 5 tackle. There's no doubt about it, man. It's just like I said, a little bit of maneuvering, and you won't have to mortgage the future either. You just got to get creative with how you structure everything so it falls in line with the future cap hits that are on the horizon. And we know, man, it's a good young team. It's coming. It's coming like a freight train. That text I sent to you guys earlier, Tim, I want to hit it real quick. I think I put it in here and screenshotted it. Maybe I did not. That's Jared Wilson. Crossfire, one of our viewers / listeners, sent me a text message and asked to look at Jared Wilson real quick. Okay, he's obviously a center out of Georgia. I'll try to get this to where you guys can see it pretty decently. Jared Wilson is on our board. I thought I had it sorted correctly here. Here we go. He is in the 101 spot is where we've got him, Crossfire. Okay, so he's 101 on our board, 101st, I should say. His 2023 PFF grade, he was the 64th highest graded center. In 2024, he went from 64 all the way up to 11th. The PFF Big Board had him at 103, right around where we had him. The Consensus Big Board had him at 143. Daniel Jeremiah did not have him in the top 50. The 33rd team did not have him in the initial top 100, but Dane Brugler had him at 83. So Dane Brugler's grade obviously helping him on our board here just a touch. So that's where Jared Wilson sits. And if we go back through and try to identify the true centers in this draft, or guys that you feel really good about playing center, Jonah Monheim out of USC, he's a center / guard. We've got him in the 88 spot currently. And then if you climb on up the board, I thought there was someone else. Maybe there wasn't. It probably the one that's still marked in the green, Gray Zabel, who many people are saying he'll be an excellent center. He's actually our top guy that can play center. He's sitting in the 52 spot. So, yeah, Jared Wilson, Tim, I'd be okay with that. You know, you can
down one spot on the current PFF board, has him at 104. So 103 to 104, little bit of movement there. But, yeah, man, 11th overall center, 79.6 last year. Pretty good grade.
Yeah.
Got the size, 6'3", 310, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got an age on him. I can't find I don't know. I'm just trying to factor in the Goody DiCaprio.
It's wild how some of the prospects on that board, they don't list the age. It's like they're hiding stuff. I think that's right. Jared Wilson, right?
He's a Libra, but we don't know how old he is. No, I don't know.
Age. Let's go Georgia. Immediately, it's AI's trying to track down people in my area whose name Jared Wilson. Their age is hilarious. Let's see here. I don't know how old this is. I don't think it was an article. Hopefully, it's new here. They're showing him 21 years old on 24/7.
Okay.
So
all right. So he's qualifier.
And it says experience 2021 through 2025. I'm assuming that's updated there, in real time. But if you guys see something different, let me know for sure.
Yeah, he's progressively played more football. I mean, even just going back to 2022, 8 games in 2022, 9 in 23, 12 games last year. Grade continues to go up. He looks like a guy that you could feel really good about drafting, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think for him, though? Probably 3rd round pick?
Yeah, I mean, we've got him. Again, you're talking about Jared Wilson, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Jared Wilson, again, we have him where, yes, sir, in the 101 spot. So, yeah, I mean, you think, 32, 64, 96. Yeah, 3rd round. I'd be okay with the 3rd round. 2nd round, be a little – if Goody takes him in the 2nd round, it means he sees him the same way he's seen Elton Jenkins, right?
Sure.
Unfortunately, it also says he sees him the same way he's seen Josh Myers, so you got to kind of,
Yeah.
Elton was I think a slam dunk. I think that was a home run, right? And many people forget, they say Elton ain't a center. Elton played center in college. Like, that was his position coming out. That's what was so odd about it, was like, why are we taking a center? Because at the time, I want to say we were pretty solidified there. I think we might have had Corey Linsley at the time, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong.
But that's the Green Bay way, right? Let's draft that center and make him play tackle or guard, or,
I can change him. Right?
I can change him.
And we know that's the culture nowadays, no doubt. All right. Yeah. So you guys remember earlier today we played an audio clip on the morning show of Josh Jacobs talking about his favorite type of run. And it was duo, right? And then he also mentioned how they were getting creative out of the gun, and they ran a pin and pull play. Now, he didn't specifically say pin and pull, but he gave some specifics about the play that they ran. And what he said was they had a receiver do motion, and he did this I'm watching this in my mind as he's talking about it. We bring him over motion, and he did that. That tells you orbit, right? Talking about going around the quarterback, zipper orbit. And then he said, and then he went in one direction, we faked to him, they handed to me, and we had a guard and a tight end pulling, okay, leading there. So you know me, I'm a dork. I went and combed through the tape earlier, and I found
it. I know you did. One of those tape guys again. Here goes the tape guy.
Tape guys back at it again. I tell you what. And of course, it reset on me. Here we go. Let's go.
Here's the guy.
75 here. All right. So here is the play I think he was talking about against the Bears, and they probably ran it multiple times. So what I call this play, it's really what it is. It's a counter pin and pull, but the way I would describe this play and the way I break down tape is 11 gun F zipper orbit 24 GY power right. Okay. And let me explain what all that means. 11 gun, it's 11 personnel. So you've got one running back, one tight end. You see they're in the picture right here. So we're in a strong left with a sidecar left as well. Okay. T same on this specific play. The F zipper orbit, you're going to see it right here. Okay. And we got it in somewhat slow motion. There's F. That's Jayden Reed playing the F. He's going to come over. That's orbit motion. When you go over and come back, they call that zipper. I'd always called it yo-yo. We switched our verbiage to mock what Greg Cosell was referring to as zipper motion, okay? So they run zipper, but it's orbit. What we mean by orbit is the running back is going to go around the quarterback. Think of a planet, right? A sun orbiting the planets, or the planets orbiting the sun, whatever. The moon orbiting the earth. If you're not a flat earther out there, okay? I know we've got a couple in the crowd. Calm down. I'm not saying I'm staying neutral on that argument. It gets hot in them streets, Tim, on the flat earth conversation.
I believe it.
Here's the orbit, right? Coming back. They're going to fake to Jayden Reed. Now, when you say counter, this is what I mean by counter. Watch Josh Jacobs' first move here.
He's going to step left, correct?
Step left, right? Yep. And give that little oomph. Now, here's what he was talking about. You got Elton pulling, and you got Tucker Kraft behind him pulling. Now, when you hear me say pin and pull, you're thinking, what's that mean, Clayton? This side of the line is going to pin down. They're going to pin and pull, okay? So you're going to see Josh Myers still off the backside. You're going to see Sean Ryan, I believe it is at right guard, who's going to still off the backside, and then you're going to pull. That's what we mean by pin and pull. So if I say counter or pin and pull counter, right, that's what we're talking about. But I like to call the play like this. It gives you the maximum information. 11 gun, we know what the formation is, or not the formation, but we know what the personnel is. And I think it was a Trey left, if I remember correctly. It could have been Dubs. But what I would have said here is 11 gun, Trey left. And then that tells you it's a strong left set with the tight end on the left. F zipper orbit, you know what that means. 24 GY. Each running lane is broken down with a number. You know, on defense, we talk about, 3 tech, 1 tech, all that stuff. Forget that. Throw it out the window. On the offensive side of the ball, when you run the ball, what we're going to do is the A gap on the right be a 2, the B gap would be a 4, and then the C gap would be a 6. On the left side, 1 would be the A gap, 3 would be the B gap, 5 would be the C gap, and then on the outside shoulder there would be the 7, okay? Then the first number that you use would be the running back that's getting the ball. He's the left back. In this case, he's going to be the 2. So the first number is 2. The second number is the gap in which he runs. 24 GY. What's GY? That means you've got a guard, Elton Jenkins, and the Y, which is the traditional inline attached tight end, which is Tucker Kraft, are both pulling, okay? So they're going to lead to that side. So again, it'd be 11 gun, F zipper orbit, 24 GY power right. And you'll notice here, man, this is a nice step. Look at Tucker Kraft getting in there doing the dirty work, man. Love to see it. So, again, we just went and tried to run down that play because Josh Jacobs mentioned it as one of his favorite plays. This isn't duo. He mentioned he loves duo, but then he talked about the creativity and mentioned this play. This is obviously a pin and pull play.
Yep.
So, that makes sense?
It does. And the Packers make it look extremely easy. You can tell LaFleur reps this hard during practices. This is all timing. And one of the best things about it is if you watch Reed, man, the way he kind of Michael Jackson smooth criminal moonwalks in that. See that little move there?
Oh, yeah.
So that he can be in
position.
Not
easy to do.
It's not easy to do at all, especially when you're timing that with the cadence too and everything that's going on pre-snap. You want to be on time so you can really deceive that defense. And we've seen McDaniel runs that down in Miami a lot, and you don't always see the back run it as smooth as you see Jaden Reed run these orbits. And
Absolutely.
I love when they fake it and don't hand it to him on those jet motions and stuff. But certainly it works, to a T when it's timed like this. Great job by Jordan too, pirouetting and handing the ball off. All of these things. Jacobs timing that first step, to bait that defense.
Yeah.
If one guy's out of step, one guy's slightly out of sync, this whole play is busted.
It's over. Yep. And watch Zach Tom on this play, guys. Right here, number 50. Watch him get out and get the right leverage. Wash him back in, give the cutback lane. That picks up another 5 yards by getting to that level. And watch the feet. Just work him right in, use the leverage, wash him right out.
Yep.
Great
really,
job.
Zach Tom's making Elton and Tucker Kraft's job a little easier there by executing like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
To perfection.
Yeah, and not a great rep from Sean Ryan, but it gets the job done. You see him hold his own right there, right? Stay inside. Yeah, see, you got to stay inside the shoulder pads, and he does that, so you don't get called for a hold there. Yep. If you're outside the shoulder pads, that's drawing a flag just about every play. Elton with a great job sealing Tucker Kraft, great job sealing Zach Tom, great footwork. Wash the backer out of the play. Great rep. Josh Meyer, too. Good rep from Josh. Not a whole lot he has to do there. You're kind of still in a gap and taking that dude out of the play anyway, but he did what he was supposed to do.
Great job by Jacobs not tripping over Tuck Norris's foot there. He's got about 14 inches of space to slip through there. And he almost got tripped up, but he stayed on his feet, rambled forward for another 5 yards there at the end. So great running by Josh Jacobs.
Definitely. So again, I think that was the play that Josh Jacobs was talking about, and they ran it multiple times this year. Don't get me wrong. That's something that it wasn't the only time they ran it. I thought it was cool that he kind of identified that because we called out F zipper orbit all year long. I remember. All right, let's get back to the poll question. Check on Twitter. The Twitter question. Look, notice the 10 comments, Tim. That's going to be people going, I don't like either of them. Okay, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you.
Should have drafted Creed Humphrey.
There's a couple of those, I guarantee. Which player would you rather move to the center position, Zach Tom or Elton Jenkins? Elton Jenkins leads the way on X at 66.4%. It just changed with 232 votes in. Obviously, Zach Tom coming in at 33.6. So everybody kind of agrees with us, Tim. Elton Jenkins at center, leave Zach Tom at tackle. It's too valuable. So There we go there. And when
we just watched is like all the proof you need, right? I mean, you highlighted Zach Tom on that. I mean, you got to feel pretty good when you're polling like that, being Elton Jenkins or, Tucker coming over, and you've got like arguably the best right tackle in the NFL out there. Just, he's going to do his job. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And again, on YouTube, the votes are in Elton Jenkins, 63%, Zach Tom, 37%, almost identical to the YouTube vote. So everybody's pretty unanimous. If we had to choose, put Elton Jenkins. In a perfect world, Jacob Monk just rises from the ashes and becomes an all-pro center. We ain't got to worry about it.
Even better world, if you're voting on our polls, you're clicking the like button and the subscribe button too. That's a great point. Giving us a little love on that algorithm.
Love it, man. A little shameless plug there. I like it.
Red
Mo in the chat. I still can't believe we signed McKinney and Jacobs this offseason, even after a whole season watching. I'm with you, Red Mo.
Yeah.
What a great job by Goody, man. A great job. And listen, it wasn't hard to identify those guys as studs. But what I like about the way Goody handled it, and this is how he approaches free agency. Day one, if he's got a couple guys he likes, he's going at them.
Yep.
And I know some people would think, why not let stuff kind of shake out and see what other teams offer? I think the way Goody approaches it is, I want that dude, him and Russ Ball, get him on the phone and say, here's our best offer. If you don't want it, it's fine. We're moving on to our next target. And I think it puts a little pressure on the player like, damn, I'd like to go to Green Bay. Yeah, let's do it. I think that's probably what happened there.
I agree. And it also, as a GM, it doesn't allow, the market to dictate what you're going to pay for a player necessarily. And it also puts you in a position where, if you took that approach and, let's see what these other teams offer. Well, what if the guy signs? Then you're screwed, and you don't even get a chance to offer. So I like that approach because budget's budget, right? Numbers don't lie. He's talking to old Russ and Russ is like, hey, here's what the numbers are. Here's what we're able to offer. You might as well get it out there soon. It's like poker, man. Get your chips in as early as possible, man. And, try and win that hand,
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the Patreon group real quick. Drew in the Patreon group said, T. Higgins is rumored to get tagged. I think the price for Godwin just went up. I believe tomorrow is the deadline for franchise tags. Would be interesting to hear if you think anybody else gets tagged. So the first thing there, Drew, tomorrow is the first day that they can designate franchise tags.
March
it's my
4th.
understanding, it goes all the way to March 4th. So they don't have to put it in tomorrow, but they have until March 4th to get it in, okay? Now, with that being said, what you're saying about Godwin, if T. Higgins does get franchise tagged, I think you're absolutely right. T. Higgins' price, or Chris Godwin's price, going to go up a little bit because that, again, supply and demand. If T. Higgins is on the market and Chris Godwin's out there, along with some of the other receivers that I know we're not big on, but other teams may be, that they're going to kind of sit out there for a little bit, and the price is going to hover, right? But if T. Higgins comes off the market right off the bat, I think the value goes up a little bit there. What do you think, Tim? Anything you want to add to it?
I was wondering if you think then if that did happen and the price goes up for Godwin, that pretty much rules out Tampa Bay trying to keep him around, right?
Yeah.
You really think the Bucs would, go up?
What they've done in the past is they've paid two receivers, and this is the model for me. You can pay two receivers pretty good money. They've done it over and over and over. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have both gotten paid pretty darn good throughout their career there. I could see them doing it, but I could also see it being something if they don't get him to agree early and he hits the market, they may get outbid, like you're saying. That could be the case. Because did Baker get a new deal? Am I thinking right, Tim? Didn't Baker get a new deal?
I don't know.
I thought he did. Everything's a blur now, man. We probably covered it extensively, and I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let's see if I can find that real quick. I want to say he got a contract, but I could be wrong. Let's see here. Baker Mayfield, the man that Steve Harvey said he's got two black first names. That's why he liked him so much. Let's see. Baker Mayfield spot track. All right. Let's see what we got here real quick.
Ron confirmed that he says Baker did get a deal.
There you go. Yeah. So it looks like to me, Tim, what they got here is he's under contract through 2026. His cap hit in 2025 is $35.7 million. His cap hit in 2026 is $45.7, and they added 2 voidable years on it. So what that means is in 2027, even though he's not on the roster, the cap hit is $11.5 million, and in 2028 it's $5.7 million. Okay, so if they've got the skeleton to extend him, if it looks like he's going to play at a decently high level into his 30s, that's the case. You can kind of reset the deal with a year or two and absorb some of those voided years. But if for some reason 2026 is the last year with them, then what they'll do is cut him, and all of the dead cap will accelerate to that year, which would be $11.5 million, unless they choose to do a post-June 1 designation. So essentially what it means, guys, they were able to free up $11.5 million against the cap to push that out in a couple void years is really what they did. And it's a smart move. And I don't know what their cap situation is currently, but I think if they want Godwin and Mike Evans both back, they've got the money to do it. I just wonder if they're looking to go in a different direction. I don't know enough about their roster on whether or not they've got a young stud up and coming, like, hey, this is going to be the dude to take the reins from Godwin. That could be the case as well. Godsmack AR69 with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. He says, it sucks that the Packers ended the season with 3 straight stinkers. I need a Packers dub injected into my veins. The offseason is already long enough. Here's what I like to do, Godsmack, and we'll do it in the offseason. We'll go back and relive the season, right? And, a fun exercise to do this time of year, if you want to get that taste out of your mouth, is go back and put together your top 10 plays of the year, right? And you can go back and watch the tape, whether it's NFL Pro or just looking at highlights on YouTube. That's what I like to do is once the smoke's settled after the offseason, we immediately go back, start at week 1, and relive the season to get kind of a quick refresher of exactly what happened throughout the season, right? I think it's a good exercise to kind of keep you in tune with what's actually going on, as opposed to just the emotion of, man, that last game sucked, right? Kind of gives you, like, one of the things that stood out to me by doing that exercise last year, not this year, not 2024, but 2023, we started off extremely slow. They were struggling bad. They were trying to force the ball to Christian Watson and just struggling. This year, they stopped trying to force the ball to Christian Watson early, and we got off to a decent start, to start to see. I know we lost week 1, but it seemed like we were in a lot better position at the halfway point than we were the year before. But again, I understand that being frustrated with the stinker at the end of the year for sure. But thank you for the super chat, buddy. We appreciate you.
I agree, especially that Bears game, man. That was tough. Knowing that we came back, we got a field goal from McManus, and we crapped the bed on special teams.
Yeah, no doubt.
That one stings.
It stings bad, man. That's hearing Bill Belichick talk about that loss to the Eagles. He's like, man, you fumble and lose the opening kickoff. He said on a crappy play call too, like the ball shouldn't have went to the Eagles, but you do that in the opening kickoff. It's hard to win that ball game right from the get-go, especially against a team like the Eagles. But United Base says I need a week 1 home opener. Haven't had one since 2018. There is nothing better. Week 1, noon kickoff, Lambeau Field, to hear Wayne Larrivee say a sun-splashed afternoon at Lambeau Field. Man, nothing better. The only thing better than that's a nice snow game at Lambeau in late December. That's it.
For sure. You got the feeling, though, if the Packers get a home opener, it's probably going to be a prime time, right? They'll probably be the night game.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
You're probably right there. United Base said, made aware of that via Wes Hodgwitz. All right, man. Appreciate that. Wes is the man, dude. He's one of my favorite follows. He's just such a classy dude, stand-up guy. He's not out there trying to grandstand on political stances and everything. He just talks Packers, and, boy, he cannot hide his love for the Packers, man. There's no doubt.
Very knowledgeable and stuff like that, the team history and, kind of the random obscure kind of stats. Like Wes is always on top of that for sure.
No doubt about it, man. So again, shout out to Wes and shout out to Drew. Thank you there in the Patreon group, buddy, for the question. Tim, I really don't want to skip the free agent talk again. We're not doing a morning show tomorrow, so why don't we go just a little bit longer and hit these free agents to give everybody a little extra content here to hold them over until tomorrow night. Because tomorrow morning I'll be I got some work to do, man. It's back on the grind for Clayton. We got 3 different condominium buildings to do all the trimming on and all that. I'll be out there trying to get my fat butt back in shape. So
get ready to go.
Ron Sample says the receiver tag is $25.6 million. Now, I think, Ron, I want to say that may include the 20% increase. T. Higgins, if he gets hit with that franchise tag at receiver, he was franchise tag last year, and per the CBA, it goes from 100% of last year to 120%. So I think that you may be including that, but just double check that, because I know that 120% is on the table there. That's why I don't know why they would franchise tag T. Higgins again. That doesn't make any sense to me, but I wouldn't be surprised, though. Crazier things have happened. All right, let's hit this short list, Tim. I want to get your take on it, too. I'm going to put the PFF grades up and try to do this in real time and not have too much dead air.
I got Over the Cap opened up, too, if we need to look up anybody.
Cool. I've got the market value next to them, so we should be good. I should be able to rattle those numbers off. I just want to get your reaction to whether you think we should sign them or not. And everybody in the chat, let us know what you think as well. First things first, Drew Dalman. We've talked about him, ad nauseum. Obviously, you see here, he's the 5th highest graded center in the NFL, according to PFF. Try to get that a little bit more zoomed in for y'all. And his market value is showing $6.8 million per. You guys know how I feel about that. To me, that would be a great move, because if you sign him to a 4-year deal at an average annual value of 6.8, and listen, guys, he may crack 10. That could happen, right? That, we've seen last year some of these numbers were a little lower than what they ended up being. So, there's definitely a scenario where Drew could price himself out of the conversation for us. But we've been sitting here talking about who's going to play center. If you sign Drew Dalman, you're okay, bang, immediate upgrade at center, right? And now you go draft a couple of offensive linemen. Now we go from needing 3 offensive linemen to only needing 2 backups, right? And if the board falls just right and you have a stud offensive lineman like a Mimbo fall to you at 23, draft him, and he's competing for a starting job. And now you don't even have to worry about replacing Sean Ryan after next year. You've already got the future in place, rookie deals. Even when Elton gets to the point where he's stepping away or it doesn't make sense for us to keep him, you'll have another starter in waiting there, I guess you could say. So Drew Dalman at $6.8 million, Tim. How you feel about that, man?
Yeah, thumbs up for sure. Approval, definitely. I'm just looking at some of the other names, even at the center position. I mean, what is his name here? Ryan Kelly from Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. Way more bankroll needed to get a guy like that, and he's 32. So you get the advantage with Drew Dalman. I think Dalman's 27 or something. 26, 27.
26, I think, almost
Yeah.
27, I believe, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
so you're getting multiple levels of value there. A little
Yeah.
cheaper on the pocketbook, and then you got the age factor too. So, yeah, I like Dalman a lot.
You know, why don't we try to do this by position? Probably make the most sense. So let's stick with offensive line. The only other offensive lineman that I seen that I kind of liked was this James Daniels here from Pittsburgh. All right, James Daniels, his market value, Tim, it's showing it's only $7.8 million. Now look at his PFF grade, bro. 92.9 last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, only 209 snaps, so you got to kind of take into consideration injuries, things like that. But if he is healthy and good to go, you really like, and again, he got hurt, it looks like in week 5, so I imagine he would be ready for the season, even if it's an ACL. We'll probably need to do a little research. If you guys would, in the chat, find out what James Daniels' injury was last year for the Steelers, okay? Because, again, he was grading out really, really well. But you look at his entire career here, you're looking at a 68, 69, 65, 71, 66, 61, 92. He never dipped under 60 his entire career. And if you're talking about $7.8 million, maybe you can guarantee a little bit more and get that cap number down to about $6 million per based on him coming off the injury. But really like to know exactly what that injury is before you make a decision there. That's another guy that just kind of caught my attention a little bit. What do you think about that, man? Based off of if the injury isn't something that, wow, this might be injury or career altering. Looked like he tore his Achilles. Thank you, United Bates, in week 4. That's tough for a big offensive lineman. That's real tough.
Yeah, that would be the only big question mark, right? Like, what are you going to get? How old is he again?
Let's see. He is 27 years old.
27. So, okay, nothing to lead you to believe that his career is over, right? He's still young enough to recoup that. But, being a O-lineman, a little bit more meat on the bones, as they say, it's a little rehab looks a little different for an ACL for that type of guy. So I'm going to put a yes question mark.
Yes. Got it. All right. Let's move it along here. Hopefully this doesn't reset. And come on, baby. There we go. We got it. All right. So next position, let's move over to cornerback. We've talked a lot about corner. And let me go over here to defense. Exit that out, and we'll just go strictly cornerback here and see what we got going on. It may take it a second. It's thinking here, which is it's wild that PFF struggles this bad sometimes. No other website does that on the old NASA computer here. DJ Reed. All right, let's go find DJ Reed real quick. I can't remember what his grade was. It wasn't like out of this world, but it was decent. Where are you at, DJ Reed? Here we go. So he was the 46th best cornerback at a 70.7 was his PFF grade. If you look at his career, his PFF grade 66, 75, 75, 78, 72, 77, and 70. So about as solid as you can ask for. He's 28 years old. You give him a 3-year deal, you can get out of it in 2. No problem there, in my opinion. Here's the issue with DJ Reed. His projected value, market value, is 14.7 mil. Chat, would you do that? 14.7 mil on 3 years, which is actually 2 for DJ Reed. That could fix your cornerback problem if Ja doesn't return. How do you feel about it, Tim?
I'm going to go no.
No? Got it. I can understand that. It's a lot of money.
5'9", he's a little small. You average out those PFFs, he's basically, a mid to low 70s on average kind of guy. I don't think he's going to come in and save the DB room. So I would say no for DJ Reed.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so there you go with DJ Reed. Next will be Charvarius Ward, another popular.
Here's a guy that I might say yes to.
It's going to take me a minute to find him because he graded out in the 50s last year. We've been pretty vocal about this and talking about, how Charvarius Ward had just a rough year as a human being, dude. Losing your child, I can only imagine what that's like, and having to go out there and try to play professional football along the way. But Charvarius Ward right here, a 56.2 this year. But man, oh man, he's 28 years old. He's going to be 29 pretty soon. He's 28.7 years old. And when you look at his career grades, 68, 65, 64, 71, 81, 84. And then, of course, everything that happened this
down year last year. So do we get 22, 23 Charvarius Ward?
That's the question.
I think if we're looking at that, and hey, here's a guy, coming off a tough year, maybe a change of scenery, maybe coming into a place like Green Bay where it's all ball all day, all the time. You got an organization that will get behind you. You got a pretty good DB room as it is. Good situation for him to walk into. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers made a move and he ended up here. I think we could unlock him and really get a good 2 to 3 years out of him at least. Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. The projected market value is $15.3 million per. And again, when you look at size, 6'1", 196, feel a little bit better than DJ Reed with him. I would be okay with it. Again, if Ja's not on the roster.
Right.
If Ja is here, I'm not even thinking about
Ward's primarily a boundary guy, right? Not much slot. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. I think he can play a little bit everywhere, but he's been predominantly outside. Let me see if I can find that real quick. They usually show us alignment. Yeah, he's corner. So he's
AFAM said I was going to say yes to Ward until Tim did the here's a guy saying. Well, here's the guy that's going to go watch Chiefs highlights probably. Have fun.
The rivalry continues here. So Charvarius Ward for me, I would be okay with it if Ja's gone. If Ja's here. If Ja is here, this is the way I see it. I want Jair on one side, and I want Carrington Valentine on the other. Now, if you're one of those people that says there's no way they'll start Carrington over Keyshawn, you're probably right. I'm just saying I disagree with it. Carrington's shown me enough now. I want to see what that dude does prepping as a starting cornerback. Get him out there opposite Jair. You got Keyshawn who can battle the slot with Javon Bullard. And then, of course, if you get an injury, it's nice to know Keyshawn can go out there and play outside because that was probably his better position this year. Here's the thing.
He surprised a lot of us, I think, last season, right?
Absolutely.
Playing outside like that. I mean, we were always kind of iffy with him in the slot to begin with. But the fact that he played out on the outside as well as he did last year, that certainly, that's why he's in the conversation right now.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see if we can find Kendall Fuller. I know we were kind of talking about him the last couple of days. If I can find him off the screen, that would help a lot because we can click right to the next page. If I just search the player and then I click on him, it takes it to a whole nother screen. We got to reboot the screen. It's just a pain in the arse. Let's see here. Miami. I'm pretty sure was where he was at. Kendall Fuller. So he was the 72nd best corner this year. All right. His PFF grades throughout his career, 56, 90, 72, 70, 66, 81, 76, 83, 66.
So he's due for an up year, right?
His size is right in between what we were talking about there with DJ Reed and Charvarius Ward. He's at 5'11", decent size. He is 30 years old, though.
That's what I was going to say, man, 30.
Now, check this out, though, Tim. When you see that, you think, okay. What about to the tune of $7.5 million?
Well, that you could definitely swing, especially if Ja's not on the team, right? That's going to free up $6 million in cap or whatever. I mean, yeah. But if you told me, you're going to go from Jair to Kendall Fuller, I'm probably less excited, just on face value. But I'm kind of in the middle on him. I don't want to say no. I don't want to say yes.
Right. And when we did the breakdown of them too, I want to say that Fuller wasn't as impressive. Like his passer rating when targeted was 89.8. That was better than Keyshawn at 101.2. But Carrington Valentine's passer rating when targeted 69, right? And again, if Ja's not on the team, Kendall Fuller had a much better passer rating when targeted than Keyshawn Nixon, but he did give up more yards per target at 6.8 to Keyshawn Nixon's 6.1. So if Ja ain't on the team at $7.5 million, I'd be okay with this. I would be totally okay with this. Because again, at 30 years old, 2-year deal that's really just a 1-year deal, guarantee a little bit more of it. That way you can get him over other teams. I would be okay with bringing him in. He's not like this superstar, but if you're looking to kind of fill that gap, and then you turn around, here's the thing too, guys. Like in terms of needs, we need 3 cornerbacks if Ja's not coming back. It means you need a starter and 2 backups, in my opinion. So if that's the case and Ja's gone, you sign him, you draft a corner early, you let them compete. You understand what I'm saying?
Really early, though. You got to go corner damn near first round.
Yep.
For sure, at least the second. Otherwise, forget about it, right? I mean, it's slim pickings.
And to me, Tim, if you're going to spend the 23rd pick on a corner, these are the only guys that realistically could fall to you that I would be okay with. Siobhan Revelle Jr. is 17th on our big board, all right? And Jahdae Brown, who's versatile, is in the 22 spot. Now, Siobhan Revelle Jr. had an injury this year. They're expecting him to be healthy. I think he's going to be at the combine, last I heard. You guys correct me if I'm wrong there. So if he's good there, remove the red mark, you're okay. You're ready to roll. But you do have some versatility there in Jahdae Brown. Those are the two guys that I would be okay with if you took a corner in the first round. Outside of that, we're to the point now on our board, and it could change slightly, and those guys could sink, and some of these guys might rise back up the board. But Trey Amos, I've gotten the 53 spot now.
Yep.
I'm I'm off of that now at 23.
What about Ezra Thomas?
Ezra Thomas. Let's see where we got him.
I'm just thinking of guys that wouldn't be there in the first round. Like, say we don't go first round. I'm thinking like you just said, or
Ezra Thomas, we got in the 69 spot,
right?
And he did get the bonus from the Senior Bowl. Daniel Jeremiah said he was awesome at the Senior Bowl.
And then we talked about Jalen Smith, USC, this morning. He's in the 60-something range, I think, right?
Gotcha.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know where we have Jalen Smith on our board. I think he's probably in the hundreds on our board.
I think he is. Yeah, I was trying to comb through and see if I could see him without searching. Jalen Smith. There's a lot of Jalens in this draft too.
Jalen Smith. PFF's got him 193, 33rd best corner, graded out 82.6 last year. So that's what I mean about it getting a little thinner as you get past that first and early second round. I mean, it's going to be really hard to get a top quality corner.
Yeah, we got Jalen Smith in the 198 spot. Okay. And he's one of those guys that in 2024 he had a great PFF grade, right? He was the 49th highest graded corner in all of college football. But the thing that's bringing him down the most is outside of that, his second best year, he was the 460th best corner. So it dropped significantly. And the consensus big board had him at 225, while PFF had him at 153 when we took the info in. So, yeah, I'm a little less on Jalen Smith. But again, those two names at the top there, Jahdae Brown and our other boy, Siobhan Revelle, I would be okay with those at 23, at least how the board sits right now. If Siobhan Revelle proves that he's definitely healthy. So that's
who did you have for your what was your second round guy? You said Amos would have been your okay.
Amos we had. Matter of fact, if I just sort by corner here, it's funny, we're supposed to be talking free agents and we're over here talking draft. I love it. These are where the conversations go though, man.
Yeah.
So if we go corner here, I've got Travis Hunter as the number 1 corner, Will Johnson at 2, Siobhan Revelle 3, Jahdae Brown 4, and then next is Trey Amos. He's got a 51.4 grade, but I want to say he was in, like we just said, around the 60 spot, somewhere around there. Then it's Ezra Thomas, then Benjamin Morrison. But, I mean, there's some people that's got Benjamin Morrison as a first-round pick. I'm not there on that. And you guys know I love my Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So.
Do you have our board pulled up still? I got one more name I'm just curious about.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit it.
Cal Bears, baby. Noel Williams.
Let's see here. Yeah, we've hit him a couple times, I think.
He could be a third round guy.
OHL, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Noel Williams from the East West Shrine Bowl, 157th on our board, but he did get a huge bonus there. Everybody was bragging on him at the East West Shrine Bowl. Yep. So he had a good game there, or a good week there, I should say. And also keep in mind, we got him at 150, 157. Dane Brugler's got him in the top 100 at 91. So he's way higher on him than we are. So,
PFF's got him at 114. So
there you go.
A little lower, but
Yeah, and at the end of the season, PFF had him at 150. So
for sure. But those are the type of names we're talking about, right? Like if you're not swinging in the first round, this is what you're going to kind of be hoping falls to you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, let's move on to, we talked a little bit about wide receiver. We've hit on my boy Chris Godwin a lot, right?
Yep.
So let's go back to him real quick, and we'll just show why I'm big on him in terms of his PFF and how he's been really stable over the years. I think he's been one of the more consistent players at the wide receiver position. As you can see here, where are you at, sir? I know you're toward the top. Did I already pass him up? Let's see your Tampa Bay. There's Bucky Irvin. So this has got everybody in it. Hold up a second. These knuckleheads. We just want receivers. All right. Where are you at? Chris Godwin. He's the 11th highest graded receiver at 86.3. Obviously, he had a short season, but his career grades, guys, 81, 80, 90, 76, 81, 75, 77, and then 86 off of those however many snaps he played there. I'm trying to see. It's not showing the exact snap count there. Pass, receive. Anyway, obviously he had a shortened season there. He did have 60 targets still with 50 receptions this year before he got hurt. So Chris Godwin at 6'1", 208. He's 28 years old. That's kind of my guy. Now, listen, it's going to take a lot of money, and like people were saying in the chat earlier, that price is probably going to go up if T. Higgins does get franchise tag because the market becomes a little more scarce there. So Chris Godwin is set at $22.5 million right now. A lot of money. But again, out of all the receivers, if you're going to go get one and say, hey, that's going to be our wide receiver one, I think he's got the personality, the maturity, the leadership that he could handle that role with Green Bay. I don't know if T. Higgins can handle that. That's just me personally. So Chris Godwin, we talked about him a lot. Now, I'm going to go on to another one, Tim. You're not going to like this one. I'm going to tell you why. Because he is a slot receiver. He played F for the Rams. And I remember when we kind of prepared for him, okay? And no, it's not Puka Nacua. Some people got really excited just now, okay?
Demarcus Robinson, is that who you're talking about?
Oh, try again. See if you can get it here.
Oh, man.
See if I can find him. I'm trying to think.
Oh, are you saying Tutu? Tutu Atwell?
Tutu Atwell. So he was the 54th highest graded receiver this year, okay? 72.7. Listen, that's right around where our other guys are. But he played F in Sean McVay's system. Sean McVay's system is pretty much identical to Matt LaFleur's. They got a couple little wrinkles here and there. If he can play F, you can free Jaden up to do some of the other stuff. Okay. Now we did point out that Tutu could play outside as well. I remember that week when we broke it down, like, hey, when we looked at his explosive catches, they were coming up the sideline. And it's like, hold up a minute. He's supposed to be the F. So he can do a little bit of everything in that regard. He's a former second-round pick. He's 5'9", 165. He's tiny. That's why I knew Tim wouldn't like him. But his PFF grades, Tim, starting in 2022, 70, 68, 72. And the reason I mentioned him, guys, Tim, how much do you think it would cost to get Tutu Atwell? Just if you had to guess right now based off those PFF grades, what are you thinking per year?
$3 million?
$3 million. They got him at 4.
Okay.
Guys, 4 we would not even notice. If he's on the market and you can get him for $4 million and that frees up Jaden Reed to play more Z and let him kind of play F, and you can still mix and match. When you go 12 personnel, you just kick Jaden Reed right back to the F and let him do his jet sweep, magic, all that. But if you added Tutu in there, right, I feel like you're creating a lot more stability in that wide receiver room, and I feel like he's going to have a better catching ability than what we've seen in the past. The problem with Tutu being on the team is Dontavion Wicks is going to get fewer targets. But Dontavion Wicks last year, Tim, I'm not ready to give up on him. I've been very vocal about this. I think Wicks is going to end up – he has the ability to have that kind of comeback in his career like Tay did. But he was like – I want to say he had more targets than Romeo Doubs last year. He had like 70-some targets, and he didn't maximize them. So if you bring in more competition there with Tutu, let's go, That could be something that, again, I think it adds stability. And let's be real. How many times were receivers hurt last year? Jaden missed time with the ankle. Could you imagine if Jaden Reed gets hurt, right, again, and Tutu Atwell just steps right into that F? You don't really – I'm not saying he's better than Jaden Reed. He's not.
No, but your offense doesn't miss a beat, really.
Right. You don't have to
still run your offense
around that. Yeah. And again, if it was $8 million, I'd be going, nah. With $4 million, come on.
And you bring up some intriguing factors, like for a guy like me who's adverse to the small receivers. Tutu's 26, man. So he's got the age going for him. You mentioned playing in McVay's system, so he's got some familiarity here with, familiarity in a nutshell kind of concepts and those sort of things. Matt LaFleur runs his own offense, but I think he would fit in well here. And then, of course, the good old Rusty Hurts. Jacob loves his bargain bin. You're talking about the budget friendly. So you got budget friendly. He's familiar with the offense. He's 26, so he's not a newbie, but he's not an old dog. I mean, yeah, I can get over the fact that he's 5'9", $165. It's all right.
Yeah, United Base says Atwell does have return experience if Nixon wants to exit that role, like you had mentioned, right? So something else to keep in mind there. I personally don't like Jaden Reed returning punts. That's just me. So if you got extra added value there and Tutu could take that over and just free Jaden up, I don't think Jaden's a good punt returner. I don't. And I don't think it's any coincidence that as they press him into being punt returner more, you kind of see his play decline a little later. And it's just, I don't know, man. How do you feel about that? Do you like him as punt returner? Am I losing my mind here or what?
I don't feel as bad as I did about Amari Rogers returning punts when I look at Jaden Reed, but no, I will say this. I'm not in love with him being our return guy. I do feel like, he's good at securing the catch, and he's, never had super issues, dropping the ball and things like that. A couple questionable choices we've seen, but I just, you're right. You don't want to see him. I like to see him as a receiver. I don't want to see him taking a step back as a receiver because, they're pressing him into that return game, like you said. A lot of times early in your career, guys are asked to do that, whether it's a wideout or a DB. A lot of times they'll get kind of thrust into that return role, and usually it's like whoever does the best on the jugs machine, during practice or something, and you kind of play your way into returning kicks and punts, during preseason, and then before you know it, it's been a year or 2 years, and you're kind of stuck as the return guy. And I think that might be where Jaden Reed is here, and I think you're right. Bringing another receiver of that pedigree into the fold might allow him to get out of that role, or a corner or somebody, doing it. I don't know. Can Kalen King return punts? Maybe we should look at him out there. I don't know.
Yeah, Marshawn Lloyd.
There you go.
I don't know if he has a history of it, but he's shifty. He's, as Matt LaFleur refers to him, that little rocket in the backfield. So, all right, another player here, defensive tackle from Detroit. You could steal one from Detroit here. Levi Ozarike, I think is how you say the name. Amelia always helps me with it. He's obviously not here. He's running from ice tonight. 70.2 was his PFF grade, Tim. Defensive tackle out of Detroit. What do you think his projected market value is? Because, defensive tackles get paid a lot of money. That's one of those high-end.
How old is he?
He is, let's click on it real quick. He is 27 years. He's going to be 27. He's 26 right now. He's going to be 27.
8 million, 7 million, 7 to 8 million,
4.5 million.
Woo! Awesome.
I seen that and I thought, now look, he started off rough, 43 his rookie year, jumped to a 68, and then last year a 70.2. And again, good size, 6'3", 290, right? That's kind of that 290, 295 range is absolutely perfect for a 4.3 in my opinion. So you got decent height there, good reach. He's one that kind of caught my attention. Like, man, at 4.5 million, if that holds true, add a little depth to defensive tackle, and you still want away from that awesome defensive front in Detroit. The question is, Tim, if you were to go sign Ozarike, would you be able to root for him? Because I know you hate the Lions.
Oh no, I can get over that. I'm not that petty, but yeah, I still hate the Lions. But I will tell you this. I'd rather try Calais Campbell for a year for, $1 million less, probably 3 million for him, right? 3.5 or something.
And everybody's like, well, he's older than the Hills. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
He's still kicking people's asses every year. Every year he just keeps doing it. Every year. So again, some of you guys are going, I don't want this guy. That's how free agency's kind of looking, These are the best I could come up with, and I'm trying to really compare the dollars to the value. There's better players than these guys on the free agent market, but you're going to have to overpay for good because they're not great players. These are players that are kind of above average to good with decent price tags on them, outside of like your Chris Godwin. And obviously we wanted to highlight the cornerbacks to see if you guys thought they were overrated. It seems like the fan favorite has been Charvarius Ward so far. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Last position here, we're going to go linebacker for a minute, Tim. And you guys know we got 2 linebacker positions to fill, right? In my opinion. This guy is Devin Bush. I can't remember who he played for, and some people love him, some people hate him. He was the 16th highest graded linebacker last year, Tim. He played for Cleveland, 79.2. When you look at his career, he had a career year. They unlocked him. 62, 59, 34, 58, 57, 79. So last year, a 79. You could look at that and go, one of these don't belong. But what if he did come out and perform at that level? What would that be worth, right? If you were to get someone that could compete as that starting third linebacker, right? Edgerrin Cooper, Quay Walker, and then throw him into the mix. Here's the cool thing. What do you think Devin Bush's market value is?
Well, he's what, 27?
He is, 26 and a half years old.
Okay. What were his grades again? Let me see there.
79.2 last year, but throughout the course of his career, right around 60, a little less than 60 most of the time.
I want to say 2 to 3 million.
You know, knock it out of the park. 2.7 million.
There we go.
And the reason I was interested in this is because he graded out much better than Eric Wilson did. And you guys know I've been on the record going, if you can get Eric Wilson back 2.5 million, bring him back, special teams, that type of thing, let him compete for that third linebacker spot, and let's go out and draft another linebacker. You know, this is one, man. You for $2.5 million, you bring him in, and if you hit the jackpot and he plays like he did last year, he might be competing with Quay Walker for that other linebacker spot, you know, for a year or two.
Yep.
So I don't know. That was one that caught my attention out of the bargain bin there. So yeah. Anybody else?
Because I've been scrolling too, and that's one of the better names at linebacker in free agency.
Mm-hmm. And again, in the past, I've been like, I feel like Devin Bush is overrated. But man, when I seen that 2.7 and then seen the 79 PFF grade, I was like, hey, all right, he did what he was asked to do for sure. So had 7 hurries as well. So he obviously rushed the quarterback a little bit. Had 2 hits, 1 sack there in that regard. So there is your free agent update. Again, those are just names that caught my attention. I want to get your all's take on it. For those who aren't watching live right now, you're going, I'm watching it now, Clayton, but you're not live. Throw in the comments what you think about those guys. Let us know if you agree, disagree with some of those names we mentioned. But what we came up with, potential people you could add to the roster, you had 1 center, 1 guard, right? You had 3 cornerbacks that I feel like I would understand if they signed them. 2 wide receivers that I like, one of which I like a lot in Chris Godwin. 1 defensive tackle and 1 linebacker. That's what we've got on the free agent market as it sits right now. So anybody else you want to talk about in terms of free agents, Tim?
The only other backer that I'm trying to find my list here. Baltimore. Where are the Ravens? Oh, this is prime television right here. Sorry, guys.
You're good. I'm going to come through, and I'm just looking for Baltimore. I still got linebackers pulled up on my page.
Malik Harrison. 27 years old. I'd just like to see what the grades are on him. He just caught my eye. Baltimore defense backer. He looks like he's probably in that same range, 2.8 to 3.5 million kind of range, probably something like that.
Gotcha. Let's look at his grades. Malik Harrison. His best year was 2023, it looks like. Malik Harrison, 52, 42, 66, 74, and then last year he dropped back to a 51.
Yeah.
A little bit inconsistent. He's 27 years old, like you said, though. 6'3", 259. He's got the size you're looking for to play linebacker for sure. Played for a big program there with Ohio State, former 3rd-round pick. So, he did show some promise. Like his best game last year was against Buffalo at home at 84.3. Only played 8 snaps, though. And then his second best game was at the LA Chargers where he played Mike and had a grade of 81.5 on 50 snaps. So he showed some upside, but a couple more games there, 74.5 at Cleveland, 74.1 against Denver at home. He had a 70.9 on the road in Dallas, played right outside linebacker in that game. I don't
think he's worth the projected salary, though.
Nah.
I mean, I'm too much red in that tackle grade for me. I don't like linebackers that can't tackle, man.
Yeah, especially this stint right here, man, from week 13 all the way through week 17.
Yeah, and that's down the stretch. Think about that. Baltimore trying to close out their season, and he's crapping the bed with the tackle grade. Not a good look. Yeah. All right, glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Scratch him off the list.
That's what we're doing too, man. We're just trying to, trying to spot a couple guys that otherwise we might not have seen.
How about that Zach Bond guy out of Philly?
Hey, Man, he's had one good year, right, Tim? Am I thinking right?
Yeah, last season.
Yeah, and he was dominant. Don't get me wrong. Let me pop him up real quick. Let's just look at it. And again, we don't know if Philly's going to let him hit the market. Obviously,
I wonder if they let him go or not.
Yeah, here we go. And again, when you remove the minimal, he is the number one linebacker, right?
Yep.
At a 90.1. What has he done the rest of his year? 6'3", 225, good size, former third-round pick, Wisconsin Badger there. 65, 44, 50, 71, and then 90. So the last 2 years.
Kind of stepped it up, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it finally clicked, It started to click in New Orleans, then he goes to Philly, and bang, right?
Yeah, I don't think the Eagles are going to let him go.
I don't either, man.
He's 29, right? Or 30, 29, something like that.
He is 28.
Yeah. So. 28, right? So Philly can, offer him a 4-year or 3-year deal or something. Probably make it happen.
I have a hard time believing they'll let him go. I really do.
Yeah.
Looks like the chat agrees there too. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Greg S. says, I think he was an edge rusher converted to linebacker. That's interesting, right? Because he does play with a certain level of aggressivity, as Brady Papinga would say. United Bates, no way Philly's letting him go. Local peeps would go ballistic. They'd have to grease the poles over there. Again, we're not talking about the poles at Jacobs.
They'd be out in the street yelling.
He was the best guy around.
It's really how they talk there, too. What murder? And Philly gets a bad rap. And you guys know the whole Basarski thing that happened this year was rough, right? Them going to the Philly game. I spent 3 days in Philly, and no, I wasn't in jail. Spent 3 days in Philly, and I stayed in the historic district. Though we stayed in an old Airbnb that was owned by one of the founding fathers, was built by one of the founding fathers. So we got to do the whole historic thing. We drove up to Valley Forge and seen Washington's headquarters during the winter at Valley Forge. We went to where they crossed the Delaware. Then we came back in, ate at what was it called? City Tavern, I think is what it was called. And that's where the founding fathers actually they would go over from, Independence Hall or what have you. There's another building that they used a lot for some of their meetings. They would go over and have dinner there. So we got to go there. There was a reenactment happening on the 3rd floor for a party. So, Tim, it was perfect, man. We're down there, candle lit, right, like it was back in the old day, fireplace going. We're eating dinner. And they were doing this reenactment on the 3rd floor of this place. And I'm telling you, dude, it was us not being up there, but hearing them get rowdy, and they were in full character, talking about, hanging the king and this and that. And it was just like, this is awesome. It was like a bunch of ghosts were upstairs talking while we were eating dinner. It was just unbelievable. I went to use the restroom. I'll never forget this. I went to use the restroom, and they said it's downstairs, so I had to go down a flight of stairs to the basement area. Cut the corner, and there was a guy standing in an empty, I guess, meeting room, like you could tell they use it for group events, leaned up against the fireplace in full costume, and he turned around and looked at me, and he looked just like Thomas Jefferson. And we locked eyes, and this is exactly what I said to him. I went, I'm looking for the bathroom. Are you a ghost? That's what I said to him. And he started laughing. He said, no. He said, I'm Thomas Jefferson. And I went, you look like Thomas Jefferson. And he was down there kind of getting ready to go up to the 3rd floor. He was going to make an appearance for that reenactment. It was awesome. And then, of course, Mandy took a picture with him later. I put on Facebook. I may have lost my wife to Thomas Jefferson. So hanging out with him and everything. It was really cool. But that place was awesome. It's since been closed, unfortunately. But it's built on the grounds where the original was. It got burned down at some point. And we did the whole thing, man. Independence Hall. We went to the Liberty Bell. You ever get a chance to go to Philly and do the historic sites? It's unbelievable, man.
I've done Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but I never made it to Philly yet.
Yeah. Redmo in the chat says, no, I'm not a ghost. Sounds like something a ghost would say. It's exactly right. Exactly right. It did freak me out a little bit, though. I ain't gonna lie. I walked down there in that downstairs area. I was the only one down there other than this cat. And I'm like, we may see one today. So, all right, Tim, you got anything else? This show sucks, man.
No, it doesn't suck. It's good. No, I'm good. I got nothing else. Morning show tomorrow. No, right?
No morning show. Yeah.
Okay.
No morning show. We'll do an evening show at 7 p.m. Central, and we'll bring you guys the latest news and everything. Listen, tomorrow's the 18th. I don't think every team that's going to put a franchise tag on a player is going to do it that early. I think they might wait a little bit and see if they can keep from pissing a key player off in their organization, maybe work out a deal, stretch it up to the limit a little bit. But, again, the earliest it can come in is tomorrow. But They can stretch it out all the way to, I think, March the 4th at 4 p.m. New York time, if I remember correctly, so Eastern time. So there you go. Appreciate everybody. This is a lot of fun. We'll be back tomorrow evening and give you the latest news around the Green Bay Packers. We'll also dive into a little more draft talk, a little more free agency. You might get a few more cuts coming out too. That could happen too. Yeah, you're starting to see those trickle out a little bit as teams are trying to get in position to get under the salary cap or put themselves in the best position possible for the 2025 season as they approach the new calendar year here. So special shout out to Godsmack for the super chat. Appreciate you. Thanks to Drew in the Patreon group for the question he had. Tim, thank you for your time, bud. We'll see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Clay.
All right, everybody have a good night. Stay away from those goats.
And we go. We out.
All right.
We out.
Bye, guys.